بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Last time in this series, Al-Andalus, the Forgotten History, we spoke about مرحلة ملوك الطوائف, that stage or that period or that era of the history of Al-Andalus, where Al-Andalus got divided into many provinces and many regions, and everyone or every region is independent of the rest, has its own king or own emir with own army and own legislation and all Congress and all these things. And we said that how that made it very easy for the Christians in Castilla and in the north part to attack, as we talked about Alfonso VI, and they were attacking and how they took parts of the Muslim world in London. So at the end, the Muslim, the last thing actually we finished with 2 weeks ago, is how it reached a point where the Muslims were paying taxes or al-jizya to Alfonso VI, and how it reached with them, those Christians in the northern kingdoms, to send to one of the umara of the Muslimin, one of the leaders, that the wife of Alfonso is to give birth to Masjid Qurtuba. And he was told by the priests that if your wife gives birth in there, in the biggest masjid of the masjids or the mosques of the Muslims, then you will rule their land. You will rule their land. So with all shameless and all ego and attitude, he sends his ambassador to Al-Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad to ask him, or to tell him actually, not to ask him, that the wife of Alfonso will give birth in Masjid Qurtuba. Obviously, Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad refused that, especially after he knew the reason. And this Jewish ambassador started disrespecting the leader until Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad couldn't take it and he killed him. And ambassadors are not to be killed. They have to know as well, they have limits. So Alfonso VI sent a letter, or once he hears or he finds out that his ambassador got killed, he sends or he prepares an army that he leads himself, and they start marching toward the Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad, and they surround his land for a few months. And then after that he sends a letter to Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad. And you know these countries or these regions used to be protected by fortresses and walls. So he sends a letter to Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad telling him, إن الذباب خارج مدينتك قد أزعجني فلو أرسلت إلي بمروحة تروح عن نفسي. He tells him with all disrespect that the bugs or the mosquitoes outside your walls, your kingdom, are bothering me. And if you would be generous enough to send me a fan, so I can fan away those mosquitoes. يعني in other words, it's mental work. He's telling him, he's telling him that I am here until I break you down. And your armies and your power means nothing to me. What's really bothering me with this is the bites. Okay? استهتار يعني. So المعتمد على الله ibn Abbad flips the letter. The same letter that he receives, he flips it upside down, the other side. And he writes one sentence. And he sent it back to Alfonso the Sixth. When Alfonso read that sentence, he picks his armies and leaves. He picks his army and leave back to Qishtad, Castilla, in the north. What Alfonso, or what Al-Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad wrote there, he said, والله لئن لم ترجع يا ألفانسو لأروحن لك بمروحة من المرابطين. والله لئن لم ترجع يا ألفانسو لأروحن إليك بمروحة من المرابطين. He sends him the letter that says, Alfonso, by Allah, if you don't go back where you came from, I will send you a fan from the fans of Al-Murabitin. I will send you a fan from the fans of Al-Murabitin. Who are Al-Murabitin? And what's their story? And what's their history? Murabitun is perhaps a copy of the story of Islam. A copy of the story of Islam. Small copy. How it started, perhaps similar to the way that the Prophet ﷺ started this deen and started building it as Allah Azza wa Jal ordered him. So Alfonso, we said, go back and return. So the kings of the Tawaif, those leaders of those small regions, they meet. As you see here, all these, every color is a different state on its own. Every color is a different state on its own. So the leaders of all these states come together because they're first paying the jizya, paying taxes, being servants for Alfonso in the north, and he does not respect any agreement and any treaty. So he keeps attacking and he keeps taking pieces of their lands. هؤلاء الكفار ما عندهم عهد أصلا. They have no promise because they have no lines and no borders. They can sit with you and agree with you on many things, and they leave. 2 days later they break it because ما عندهم consciousness, ما عندهم رادع. They have no connection or no allegiance to Allah to know that there is limit, and Allah Azza wa Jal respects, or Allah Azza wa Jal expects from them to respect their agreements. يقول الله عز وجل في فاتحة المائدة يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود. أوفوا بالعقود. O you who believe, fulfill your contracts, fulfill your promises. أما الكفار, the disbelievers, have no contracts. They have no orders with Allah Azza wa Jal. So it doesn't matter, they can agree with you today and actually not tomorrow. Before they sat with you to agree, they already agreed to this, to break the contract they are agreeing with you today. But to look in the history, especially in the last 100 years, you will see that, and in this history, you will see how they sold Palestine and how they gave it a gift to the Jews, the British, and how they promised the Arabs, and how they went around the Ottoman Empire. And this is history, just repeats itself. And then Muslims at the end of the day, being foolish and being irresponsible and being ignorant of their history, they go back and they sit and they expect. They sit and they expect promises and they expect treaties. And look in Palestine, how many treaties there are between the Muslims and the Jews. Which one and how many of those they respect? Every day they disrespect and they violate every agreement They made with the Muslims, and they made with the Arabs, and they made with the even international community. So when these leaders in these groups or in these regions realized that danger, they got together and they started talking, what should we do? Some of them said, we go the peace way. The peace way. You go the peace way when you have the upper hand. وَإِن جَنَحُوا لِلسِّلْمِ فَجْنَحْ لَهَا. You go the peace way when you have the upper hand, or you have the lower hand and you have no resistance. You have the upper hand. You go the peace way with your own conditions. When you have the lower hand, you go the peace way to get stronger. But that's after you consume or after you use your resources. But you do not go with peace and humiliate. You do not compromise. Why? Because again, they have no contract to respect. Very important. So in these people, one group said, we go the peace way. We go the siyasa, the political way, and meetings and dealings and treaties. But obviously, it proved it did not work. And you have treaties with Alfonso, and you have treaties with the king of Aragon, and you have freedom with the kings of the north. But obviously, they keep attacking you. So what peace you want to go with them again? What treaties you want to do with them? Okay? On the other hand, some of them went so bad and so weak that they said, we complain about them to the Pope. We complain about Alfonso, the Christian kings, to the Pope. As we will see later on, how it's the Pope that is the driving force for all these kings. And back and forth. Then one of those kings suggests that we seek help from Al-Murabitin. We seek help from Al-Murabitin. And we still, that's the fan. The fan from Al-Murabitin. طبعا, those who want the dunya, those who are concerned about their seats, those who are concerned about their power, they had two fears. The first fear, that what if Al-Murabitin don't listen to us? Because Al-Murabitin in Africa. And second, what if Al-Murabitin do come here and defeat the Christians? What if they take over our kingdom? They're gonna come here and defeat the Christians. What, they're gonna fight the Christians just for us? Because they have lost the identity of Islam. They don't understand that Muslims should support each other wherever they are. So they said they're gonna come and take over our kingdoms and our seats and our thrones. And look how small their kingdoms are. So some resisted until Allah Azza wa Jal inspired this man, Al-Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad, the one who sent the letter to Alfonso. And he says, in the last, toward the end of his speech, وَلَا أُحِبُّ أَنْ أُلْعَنَ عَلَى مَنَابِرِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ لأنني لم أستعن بالمرابطين ولا أن أرعى الإبلاء في صحراء المغرب خير لي من أن أرعى الخنازير في أوروبا. He says, he gives a speech, and toward the end he says, Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad hada. He says, and I don't want to be cursed on the minbars by the Muslims why I did not seek help from al-Murabitin. And I would rather herd camels and sheep in the deserts of Morocco than herding the pigs in Europe. Fahm? You understand what the result will be. With the Murabitin coming in, there's a chance they might defeat the Christians and leave. With the Khanazir or with the Christians, it's done. Deal done. They will turn everyone, either kill them, and that's their method and that's their nahj always. When they invade a land, they kill the people, or they enslave the people, or they rob the people, or they exile the people. That's what they do. That's their history. And they're still following them. They didn't change. Don't tell me human rights organizations and all that nonsense. They still continue to do the same manhaj and the same attitude. Why? Has to do much with that they feel that they're better than everyone. That the blood running in their veins is different. We'll keep it like that. Okay? So he said, I would rather be a slave in Africa than being a slave in Europe. When he said that, he moved some of the emotions, excited the other people sitting there. So immediately on the spot, 3 of those leaders joined him, and they agree with him. Mutawakkil ibn al-Aftas, that is, we spoke about him last time. And we said when Alfonso sent him to pay the jizya and he refused, and he sent him a big speech telling him that we are the soldiers of Allah and we are this and that. And then Abdullah bin Balqin, the king of Granada, Al-Aftas hina, Banu Al-Aftas, the kingdom of Batliyus had. بعدين Abdullah bin Balqin, Malik Granada. You can see it in the south. So they prepare a big entourage, a big embassy, and they send it to Al-Murabitin to ask them to help them out. So let's see what Al-Murabitin. Let's talk a little bit about Al-Murabitin. This is very significant. This is very important to see how Allah Azza wa Jal builds nations. How Allah Azza wa Jal allows nations to grow when they stick to Him. Someone might ask, why there are nations who are against Allah and they grow? Because the nations that are with Allah step down. Someone has to lead. That's the bottom line. Someone on earth must have the power. When the people disconnect with Allah, then the people of deviation and the people of falsehood will rise automatically. When the people of Allah stick to Allah and give Him the allegiance, they rise automatically. Whether by overpowering the strong false or by the false itself vanishing, because never the false is strong. إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. The false, it doesn't matter how big it seems to be. Just like a balloon. Doesn't matter how big it seems to be. It's empty inside, because it has no foundations, has no fundamentals. It never knew why it was established. The people in it don't know why they live. Its soldiers don't know why they fight. That's why it's easy to collapse. It rises so fast and collapses so fast. Those who attach to the rope or hold to the rope of Allah, completely different story. It's a sunnah and one of the laws of Allah Azza wa Jal that it will happen. Every time you hold to the rope of Allah, you will rise. Every time. No exception. No exception. Even if you start with 2 or 3 people. Actually, if you start with 1. If you're holding to the rope of Allah and your way stays straight and your intentions stay right and you do not compromise and you do not give up, you will rise. You will rise. And the story of Al-Murabitin, one of those. Story of Al-Murabitun, one of those. Let's start. We'll go with that. Here. Just an easy map. Or let's go with that one.
One behind you? No,
Where?
other way.
right here. This one. Okay? This is Al-Andalus, this is Europe, and this here, Africa. Okay? This is Africa. As you see, there is the Strait of Jabal Tariq, connects between Africa and Al-Andalus. This is Spain today, and this is Morocco. Right? This here, this piece, is what? This country here. Maghreb? Mauritania. Okay? This small country here, Mauritania. And the right thing is for this to be one country. Anyway. Alright? We might take one day talk about the history of Mauritania with Morocco. Anyway, those made mistakes and those made mistakes. And that's why they still the struggle. But anyway, let's not go there. So Mauritania, okay? Mauritania, in the north, هي صحراء. Mauritania is a desert. Okay? But you had tribes living there. قبائل called قبائل صنهاجة. طيب قبائل صنهاجة. And the biggest two of those قبائل, the biggest two families, جدالة ولمتونة. جدالة ولمتونة. جدالة in the south of Mauritania. Okay? In the south of Mauritania. The man who was in charge of that tribe or that family or that region named Yahya ibn Ibrahim. Yahya ibn Ibrahim Jadali. He was a good man. Okay? He was a good man. He wanted to do the right thing. But he didn't have knowledge. He didn't have support. But he was a good man, his fitra is good. He did not like what he saw his people doing. Okay? He did not like what he saw his people doing. What did they do? They were alcohol. Drinking alcohol was widespread. Okay? They had some shirk behaviors. Okay? Zina was widespread. They will commit zina with each other's wives. Like nothing. No one will say anything. Robbery, vandalism was widespread. No law to control them. The strong eats the weak. Marrying more than 4 was spread out. Those are Muslims. Okay? Those supposedly Muslims. Supposedly. As we say, Islam reached all the way to that land. And that's when they moved south or north to Al-Andalus. Yahya ibn Ibrahim al-Jadali didn't like that. So one day, he goes to Hajj. On his way back, Allah Azza wa Jal guides his heart. So he changed his way and he goes to Qayrawan. Huh? You guys know where Qayrawan is? تعرف? To Tunis. Well, Qayrawan was a city, one of the biggest city in Africa, in that part of the world, in North Africa, with ilm. We said built by مين؟ ها؟ لا مين هو built القيروان؟ نعم. طيب. So it was a center of ilm, and the ulama were there. Okay? So he passes by, and he meets with the Sheikh al-Malikiyya, al-Fasi. He meets him in there, Abu Imran, and he tells him the situation. So Abu Imran, al-Fasi, he picks a man, and he sends him with Yahya. He said, take this man, he has ilm, he has knowledge, take him and let him invite the people to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, let him invite the people to the right deen. So he takes him, this man, and don't forget the name, Abdullah bin Yasin. Abdullah bin Yasin. Abdullah bin Yasin. So he goes, now he has to face these people. Joining good and forbidding evil isn't easy. Especially when the people are indulged and immersed in shahawat. No one wants to do taklif hard. To stick, to pray, to hold your desires and all that, hard. The easiest thing is to let your nafs lead you. The easiest thing. To let your nafs lead you. Shahawat are easy because the path to hellfire is easy. حفت بالشهوات. ماشي? So he started inviting people, reminding them of Allah, al-Tawheed, leave al-Shirk, leave this haram, leave al-Khamr, leave al-Zina. The reaction is, they fouled him. They fouled him. وَالدَّاعِيَ لَلَّهِ, one of the must characters of it, the one who wants to invite to Allah is patience. Patience. Because He always going to have those people. From outside and from inside. From outside and from inside. To the point where they beat him up. They start beating him up. They start beating him up. وَلَهُ فِي نُوحٍ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ عِبْرَةً. له في محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عبرة. له في الأنبياء عبر. He has example in those prophets. The prophets of Allah used to be beaten when they invite, including our Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So they kick him out. They kick him out of the village. So now he's sitting with himself between two options. Between two options. Go back in, he might get killed. Go back in, he might get killed. Or go back to Al-Qayrawan. Both options didn't make sense to him. وعنده message, he has a message he has to finish. Amma pick yourself and say, Wallah, hell with them, I'm leaving, have a good day, wasn't an option. And to go back in and end up dead, that's not an option either. What's the point then? Okay? So he moves south to get away from them. He moves south, northern of Senegal. Okay? All close, next to Mauritania. Moves south, northern of Senegal, he finds a very good location next to a river, and he builds a tent. Then he sends a letter to Jadala, to the tribe where he was, who kicked him out. Of course, he sends to some people that he saw support from and acceptance, especially the youth, the young people, the energy in the young people. The old people don't like to change. So he tells them, whoever wants help, whoever wants the truth, whoever wants to get out of this mess, come to me. So 2 or 3 or 4 people join him. 3, 4 people join him. Start teaching them the deen, the aqidah, the fiqh. Start teaching them the jihad. Start teaching them how to fight. He starts teaching them how to hunt, so they become independent. As long as you need your enemy for your food, you're a slave. Mashi? As long as you need your enemy to feed you, you're a slave. Mashi? So he teaches them all that, few months. Then he tells them, go back and get your families. When they have families, they have parents, they have children, they have wives. So they all go back, and they come back with their families. So every one of those comes back with one person. So now they're 10. Sure? Start with 1. Now they're 10. Again, he keeps repeating the same thing. Now these tents don't fit them. So they start building another tent, third tent, fourth tent. All that. They start increasing from 440 Hijri to 444. 4 years. وعلى هذا المنوال. 4 years doing this. Until they reach 1,000 people. 1,000. Then he says his famous saying, لن تغلب 1000 من قلة. 1,000 cannot be defeated because they're little. 1,000 is not a bad number. 1,000 is not a bad number. So he continues doing that, joining good, forbidding evil. Now he's sending out to invite people, this and that, start increasing 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,400, and on and on. الرباط هو الخيمة. الرباط خيمة. تو إن Muslims رباط في سبيل الله. Ribat usually are tents built on the borders of the Muslim land, where they meet the kuffar. The borders, the Muslims usually establish على الثغور هذه اسمها. Establish tents where people sit there, soldiers or ulama. People used to rush to them because of the great reward of them, as the Prophet ﷺ said. One who's out في سبيل الله مرابط, هذا who sits in these tents to protect the borders of the Muslims, better than the one who makes qiyam all day and fast, or make qiyam all night and fast. Okay, so هذه الخيمة اسمها رباط. Okay, رباط. Because of these tents start spreading, they were called al-murabitun. They were called al-murabitun. This group of people start with 1, then 5, then 10, then 1,000 after 4 years, now growing. They call them al-murabitun. With the beginning of Abdullah ibn Yasin. In 445, something significant happened. Something very unique. And usually, when Allah Azza wa Jal sees good intentions, He makes it happen so quick. Usually the law of Allah is that nations grow slowly. Right? But sometimes when He sees subhanahu wa ta'ala very sincere people, He gives them a push. This push will lead to them growing fast. Okay? What happens? Yahya ibn Umar, we said there's Jadala and there's the Lamtuna. Yahya ibn Umar al-Lamtuni, the head of the Lamtuna. Okay? Different tribe. Abdullah bin Yasin offers or give him his da'wah. So he convinces him. He convinces him. So this Yahya ibn Umar al-Lamtuni goes back to his tribe, just like Sa'd ibn Mu'adh did when he went back to Al-Aws. When Mus'ab ibn Umayr radiallahu anhu gave da'wah to Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, and Sa'd ibn Mu'adh accepted, he went back to his Al-Aws. To Al-Aws wal Khazraj, there were 2 tribes that defended the Prophet, Ansar. He goes back to Al-Aws. Al-Aws were bigger and stronger. And he tells them, the speech of your men and your women and your family haram on me until you testify La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasul. Yani there is nothing between me and you until you believe in Allah. Yahya ibn Umar al-Lamtuni does the same. He goes back to Lamtuna, to his people, and he tells them the same thing. إن كلام رجالكم ونسائكم وأبنائكم علي حرام حتى تشهدوا أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. في يوم وليلة يصبح عدد المرابطين من 1300 إلى 7000. They jump from 1300 in one day to 7000. The whole tribe believes. 7,000. This is a great push for this. After a few days, Yahya ibn Umar al-Lamtuni dies. شوف حسن الخاتمة. شوف when Allah Azza wa Jal chooses the best thing for His servant. When the servant is sincere with Allah, Allah will make him die on something good. Few days after he did that, he dies. Rahimahullah ta'ala. And here we're sitting Talking about him. After he died, the one who takes over, Abu Bakr al-Lamtuni, his brother, Abu Bakr bin Umar al-Lamtuni. He takes over Lamtuna. He joins Abdullah bin Yasin. He joins the Sheikh Abdullah Yasin, and he starts with him. They start spreading. Now they're in South Mauritania. They start spreading. Now they reach Shamal al-Senegal, the north of the Senegal. So from the south of Mauritania to the northern of the Senegal. Lamtuna and Jadala, those two tribes became one tribe. Those al-Murabitun. Said all this started in 440. In 451, they reached 12,000 people. 451. 11 years later, there are 12,000 people. The same year, 451, Abdullah bin Yasin go out. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, fighting fi sabilillah, he gets martyred. Abdullah bin Yasin gets martyred. Okay? Everything now gonna happen, or everything that happened since 440 in the book of Abdullah bin Yasin. Okay? And before him in the book of Yahya ibn Ibrahim who brought it. Everything. Just like all the good deeds of this ummah in the book of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anta, you ever reflected on that? Inta, you might be sleeping. Are there things going on in the world that are adding to your book while you're asleep? Or you are someone that if you're up and doing something good, there is something going in your book. Okay? If nothing, if you're not doing anything, nothing going in your book. Don't be like that. Perhaps that is a big loss. Make sure that you do good in this earth, you do good in this world, that even if you're dead, your book of deeds is adding more. Your good deeds are adding more by spreading good to the people, by doing good in earth. That you're not here just to drink and eat and sleep and then die. So when you hear, this man, a whole nation, their good deeds in his book, without their deeds decreasing, what you think? How you think? Very much. These aren't stories. These are ways of life. I heard some people criticize, and they say storytellers. Why we need history? Why we need tawheed, tawheed, tawheed. This is tawheed put into practice that you don't even know. Tawheed, there's nadari, and there is amal. There's theory, and there is practice. This is tawheed put into practice. When people followed tawheed right, that's what they did. Amma like you, bunch of losers, jobless, all day long just talking about people who work. That's not how the way you. That's not the way you learn tawheed. People who put their trust in Allah, who understood the meaning of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Once they understood that, they put it into practice. Because the point of learning tawheed is to establish the word of Allah on earth. Once you learn it and you put it into your life, then you become obligated to spread it. Amma, just learning and staying at home or in a corner and enjoying your life, that's not how Islam works. Then Muhammad would have stayed in his house or in the cave. Khalas, as they say, heck with people. And I don't care. And if I'm saved, I don't care about the land. Islam doesn't work like that. That's why you see all this mess and all this havoc in the earth, all this mischief. Because there are a group of people out there who thought this way. They said, if I'm rich, I don't care about anyone else. I can declare wars and kill people and get people sick or the uranium and depleted uranium in Iraq and children being born without arms and without head, I don't care. If this war will bring me money, that's all I care about. Islam says no. Islam says no. And every war, very much every war in this century was by people who wanted to make money. Period. No one cared about Hitler. Actually, the people who funded the coalition against Hitler are the same people who funded Hitler. And they are the same people who are still funding the wars. This is old now. This is old news. That's why it's only this religion that threatens him. Because the Buddhist is sitting in the mountains, all he wants is to be a monk. And the Hindu, all he's worried about, his gods and his lifestyle and his shahwat. And the communists are stuck in there. This is the only religion or the only system. Forget about religion. Because every religion out there is very much in the church. Christianity in the church, Judaism in the synagogue, Hinduism in the temple. That's very much. This is the only religion that is a system, a way of life. Ask any Christian. Doesn't know what's halal and haram in your religion. He doesn't. There's no such thing. It's actually personal effort to know what's forbidden and what's permissible. Which Christians don't drink because it's forbidden? The Christians who do not drink, it's because personal preference. Even though in the book it says, in their book it says it's forbidden. Pork, the same thing, personal preference because it's disgusting for those who don't eat it, who are Christians, not because it's forbidden in the book. There is no such thing as fiqh for the Christian. Halal, haram, permissible, forbidden. There is no such thing. And apply that to everybody else. This is the only system that handles every aspect of life. Political, financial, and gives solutions. That's the issue that these people don't want to accept. It gives solutions. They come, we say usury is forbidden. Usury, yani, what they call interest. And interest to whom? الربا هذا. They call interest from banks and from financial institutions. Interest to whom? You borrow 200,000, you pay back 700,000. You buy a house for 300,000, after 20 or 30 years you pay how much? 700, 800,000. So who's being interested here? How much rent you gonna pay in 30 years? Have you ever calculated it? How much rent are you gonna pay in 30 years? You can pay the rent and still end up after 30 years with 400,000, 500,000 in your pocket. You didn't go buy a house after 30 years, if you even have interest in this world, to buy a house. Seriously. They put in your head that you must be financially stable, so they want you to save money for your children education and university before they're even born. Who told you you're gonna ever have children? That's how they control the minds of people. That's why they keep them living in fear. That's why people in fear, they live in fear. That's why they see the truth and they just stay quiet about it. That's why they see a guy being beaten up on the street and they just pass by. That's why they see a guy stabbed and bleeding in the middle of New York City and they just pass by. Caught him camera. Because he doesn't care. Because the system taught him, you live for yourself. Forget about everybody else. Forget about everybody. No one cares about you, so don't care about anyone. That's how these governments function. The threat is Islam, because Islam says no way. We are here to serve each other. We are here to serve Allah, and part of that to be good to each other. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للمسلمين للمؤمنين للموحدين لا للناس. You're the best ummah for mankind. Part of having the preference as a nation, we have to be good to all mankind. Not go declare wars and then the next day we say we care, send our president to visit this government and that government and say, we want to serve the people, we want to free you guys. And yet the problem, you find people still believe in all this. Nonsense. So in 451, we said Abdullah bin Yasin, rahimahullah, dies. Deserves or get his shahada. After 11 years of his da'wah, and he leaves behind him 12,000 men. Really. 12,000 real men. Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni takes over. Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni takes over the leadership of al-Murabitin after Abdullah bin Yasin. They stay 2 years where they are. Okay? Between South Mauritania and northern of Senegal. Okay? They stay there for 2 years. No one knows about them. No one cares about them. They're nothing on the map. 453, 2 years later, Abu Bakr al-Lamtuni, as he's here, he hears that there is an issue, conflict between Muslims in the south of Senegal, in North Senegal. He hears there's a conflict between Muslims in the south of Senegal. Alright? So he takes, now his army is 14,000. He takes half of the army. He takes half of his people, 7,000, and heads down to south of Senegal. Okay? And he puts in charge of the Dawlat al-Murabitin, North Senegal, south of Mauritania, his cousin, a man with the name of Yusuf bin Tashifin. Okay? He leaves him there, tells him take over until I come back. Mashi? Yusuf bin Tashifin. Abu Bakr goes down. He manages to solve the issue and the conflict between the Muslims down there. Then he suddenly finds out that around those Muslims, they are African tribes who worship idols. Who worship idols. Mushrikeen. So he feels the necessity and the obligation to bring them out of that darkness to the light. He feels the necessity, I need these people, Muslims, or these people are humans, worshipping animals and worshipping magic. We need to bring them back to the right thing, to Tawheed. So he starts making da'wah. And he starts inviting to Allah Azza wa Jal. At the same time he's doing that in Africa, Yusuf bin Tashfin start heading north. Okay? Remember, they're only here, this area right here. So Yusuf bin Tashfin start heading north, making da'wah and spreading the land of al-Murabitin. So he finds strange things. Okay, he finds strange things. Qabilat Ghumara. They're big scholars who came out of there. Qabilat Ghumara. They are from al-Barba. That's in north of Mauritania. In this area. He finds these tribes. Qabilat Ghumara. They're led by a man named Hamim ibn Mannillah. Hamim ibn Mannillah. He claimed to be a prophet. Those are Muslims. That's what ignorance does. Look how far ignorance reached, where someone can come and say, I'm a prophet. Even though in the Quran it says, the Prophet ﷺ is the last thing. Khatamun Nabiyyin. So he claims to be a prophet. He obligates them for 2 prayers. One at sunrise and one at sunset. Even though those are 2 times where it's forbidden to pray. خلاص. تحدي. حرم عليهم أكل لحم بيض الطيور. أحل أنت الخنزير. He forbade them to eat the eggs of birds, and he made it permissible to eat the female of pig, the she pig. Okay. حرم أكل السمك حتى يذبح. He forbade them from eating fish unless it's slaughtered. Fish? You want to slaughter every salmon? Good luck. وضع عنهم الطهارة من الجنابة والوضوء والحج. he exempted them from tahara after intercourse, from al-ghusl, from al-wudu, and from hajj. So they don't have to do all that. ما هو Nabi. And all people, Muslims, believing in all that and following. That's what Yusuf bin Tashfin found when he went north. He found another qabila, Barghawata. You guys have these families in there now? Yeah? Masha. The leader of it was a man named Salih bin Tariq bin Sham'un. His grandfather or his ancestors are Jews, but his grandfather became Muslim. This man فرض على الناس 5 صلوات في النهار و5 صلوات في الليل. كريم. He obligates people to pray 5 times a day, daytime, and 5 times nighttime. ماشي؟ فرض نفس وضوء المسلمين بالإضافة إلى غسل السرة والخاصرتين. He kept the wudu, but he added to the wudu that you have to wash your belly button and your hips. فرض عليهم الزواج من غير المسلمات فقط. He obligated them to only marry non-Muslim women. He allowed them to marry more than 4. He obligated them to marry more than 4. فرض على الرجال تربية الشعور وظفرها. He obligated the men to grow their hair and braid it. Okay? Then there was another qabila تعبد الكبش. Another qabila worshipping rams, the ram, the goat or the sheep, whatever. Okay? So when Yusuf bin Tashfin saw all that when your heart is attached to Allah and to the oneness of Allah, you cannot accept all that. So he went north and fought Salih bin Tarif هذا bin Sham'un, Hamim bin Manillah, and the people, in addition another tribe called Zinad. He fought them. Zinat هذه secular, separated between الدين and الدنيا. Said الدين, religion in the mosque, and الدنيا, outside you do whatever you want. So he fought all of these until he brought them back إلى حضيرة الإسلام. He brought the people who are misguided back to Islam. Okay? Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni, okay, comes back in 468. Okay? Do you remember? He went in 453 when the conflict happened. So when he saw non-Muslims there, he couldn't leave them. So he comes back after 15 years. يدعو إلى الله with 7,000 soldiers. يعود بعد 15 سنة. He leaves his country for 15 years to solve a conflict. Then after he solves the conflict, he sees people who don't know Allah. He says, and I'm gonna make that. So he spends 15 years spreading the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. He comes back in 468. 468, كله هجرة. He finds Yusuf bin Tashfin spread the land of Islam. He finds Yusuf bin Tashfin. Well, it was here. Janub, Mauritania, and Shamal Senegal when he left. That's all. On the borders. 12,000 people, 14,000 people, he takes 7, leaves 7. He leaves 7,000, 15 years back. And their country is that, on the borders, between Mauritania and Senegal. So he comes back, and that's what he finds his country. دولة المرابطين. Senegal complete. Mauritania complete. Morocco, Maghreb, Aljazair, and Tunis. Now al-Murabitin, it was between Mauritania and Senegal. Now it's the whole Senegal, whole Mauritania, Morocco, Maghreb, Jazair, Tunis. That's his dawla. He is the king, not the king, but he is the leader of this state, this big, huge state. He finds his army over 100,000 people. His soldiers. 100,000. تركهم 7,000. He left 7,000. He finds them over 100,000. He finds a new city built على تقوى من الله. New city just built for Allah. The first thing built in that city was the masjid. بالطوب, بالطين, with the mud. Just like the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. هذه المدينة اسمها مراكش. الآن إيه؟ الآن للسياحة. جامع البلاء؟ نعم. بس ليش تضحك؟ ما زال موجود المسجد؟ ما شاء الله.
كتبية.
هذا بتكلم عن الساحة. طيب هنيئا له. طيب. So they built the masjid, a city, for the sake of Allah. Marrakech, still standing there. And هذا Yusuf bin Tashfin used to go down with the people and carry the mud with them and the tub and building the masjid just like the Prophet ﷺ. When Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni, the leader of all this, saw that, he did something that perhaps you will never hear in history. لما شاف هذا أبو بكر بن عمر اللمتوني دولته انتشرت سنغال وموريتانيا والمغرب والجزائر وتونس، he did something، فعل شيء ما فعله أحد، ما ندري أحد فعل مثله. He gave up everything to Yusuf bin Tashfin. He gave up the leadership. سلم الولاية ليوسف بن تاشفين. He told him, you're in charge, and I don't want to be the leader. And my place in Africa. My place, after he made sure that it's established and it's strong, he said, my place in Africa, people who don't know Allah, that's where I want to be. So he put Yusuf bin Tashfin in charge. He leaves him. He tells him, you're in charge now. And I'm gonna go دعوة في سبيل الله. إذا تنازل بالحكم يوسف بن تاشفين رحمه الله. His concern was how to bring people into Islam. How to bring people into Islam. He goes back into the jungles of Africa. He goes back. Abu Bakr al-Lamtuni, Rahmah. He goes back to the jungles of Africa. Abu Bakr هذا bin Umar al-Lamtuni, to invite to Allah. فأدخل في الإسلام. Now listen, the countries that became Muslim on his hand: Guinea, Sierra Leone, Sahel Aj, the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Ghana, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Cameroon, Africa الوسطى, Gabon. 13 countries become Muslim on the hand of Abu Bakr al-Lamtuni. In the hand of Abu Bakr al-Lamtuni. That's 20 countries. Because the top ones are his too. Tunisia and Algeria and Morocco, his. 1/3 of Africa entered Islam on this man's hand. 1/3 of Africa. Well, where is the ambition? Where's the energy? A man who converts 1/3 of continent. And the one of us works 8 hours, 10 hours a day, just to put money in his pocket, and then he complains. I've done so much. Or puts $10 in the masjid box. I've done so much. Or praise, I've done so much. I've done so much. Where are we from that? Where are we from that? How much time this man gave? He gave up everything for something he believed in. يقول ابن كثير عن أبي بكر اللمتوني هذا. ابن كثير في البداية والنهاية. اسمع. لما كان يدعو إلى الجهاد في سبيل الله كان يقوم له 500,000 مقاتل. This man, Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni, when he will call for al-jihad, he will have 500,000 soldiers with him. فما صلى مصل في النيجر أو مالي أو نيجيريا أو غانا، هذا كلام ابن كثير، إلا وأضيفت إلى حسنات أبي بكر بن عمر اللمتوني، وما فعل رجل من الرجال خيرا في تلك البلاد إلا دخل ذلك في حساب أبي بكر بن عمر اللمتوني. He said when he would call for al-jihad, he will have 500,000 soldiers with him. No one prayed in Niger or Mali or Nigeria or Ghana, but his good deeds will be added to the book of Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni. And no one in this land does something good, but it will be in the book of Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni. هؤلاء رجال. أنا وأنت رجال بالمسميات. In 481, Abu Bakr ibn Umar al-Lamtuni dies fi sabilillah. While he's fighting, he dies. He's out. Fi sabilillah dies. تصبح دولة المرابطين in 478, before he died. دولة المرابطين من تونس شمالا. تونس. Oh, the way with this 1/3 of Africa. Okay. To Gabon. And Yusuf bin Tashfin, the Amir, the leader of Dawlat al-Murabtin, يسمي نفسه أمير المسلمين وناصر الدين. Yusuf bin Tashfin calls himself أمير المسلمين وناصر الدين. لما سألوه why you didn't call yourself أمير المؤمنين؟ قال إنما أنا رجل من رجال العباسيين. شوف العباسيين they only control Baghdad. بس هو his intent is to bring the Muslims together. هذه الخلافة was something in their heads. لما سئل قال أنا رجل من رجال خليفة العباسي. خليفة العباسي ما بيحكم قصره أصلا. خليفة العباسي at that time does not rule over his own palace. But he wanted to make sure, and he used to say, I'll be honored to be part of al-Khilaf. Yusuf bin Tashfin. Those are people who worked for the deen, for Allah. Not for position, not for power, and not to get victory for their political party, not to live in a palace, not to have privileges and vacations. Dawla, for Allah. He doesn't care what his position. You can make him the king and you can make him the janitor. He doesn't care. As long as he's living for the sake of Allah. That's why when they didn't want the dunya, Allah gave it to him. When he didn't want the seat and the position, Allah gave it to him. Amma he who runs after it and rule after it will be deprived of it. And if it's given to him, he will be humiliated until he does. He said هذا شرف لا أدعيه، هذا شرف يخص العباسيين وأنا رجلهم في هذا المكان. هو when he was asked why you're not أمير المؤمنين, why أمير المسلمين? He said this is an honor I cannot claim it. This is the honor for al-Abbasiyin. His intent again, توحيد صف المسلمين. So they don't say there is Muslim state in Africa, and Muslim state in Asia, and Muslim state in the Middle East. لا, he wanted to unite the Muslims. Sanat 478, year 478, Hijri, comes al-Wufd, back to Al-Andalus. So this is just a synapse on how the Dawlat al-Murabitin was established. In year 478, 440, Murabitin started its first seeds 440. In 478, 38 years later, the Muluk comes. Remember the embassy that when they met, they said we need to go to al-Murabitin and ask them for help against the Christians in the north. They reach al-Maghrib. They come to Yusuf bin Tashfin. فجاوبهم مباشرة. Immediately. When he heard that the Muslims are being attacked by the Christians, immediately. When he heard that the Muslims being oppressed, immediately he prepares an army of 7,000 soldiers and he leads them himself. And they go through Jabal Tariq, Madiq, through the ocean. And while they're heading there, a storm hits. A storm hits. في البحر. فيتضرع إلى الله. He raises his hands and he makes dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. He says, اللهم إن كنت تعلم أن في عبورنا هذا البحر خيرا لنا وللمسلمين فسهل علينا عبوره. وإن كنت تعلم غير ذلك فصعبه علينا فلا نخوض فلا نعبر. He said, oh Allah, if you know by us crossing this sea good for us and for the Muslims, then help us to cross, to go through. And if you know that it's not good for us, then make it harder on us so we go. وهذا when the believer put his attachment and his trust in Allah. And you think what you want to do or your plan is the best thing for you. And you're confident and you're certain and the whole world cannot convince you out of it. And you go through with it and it's your destruction. And if you lift it for Allah Azza wa Jal, and you say, oh Allah, and I put you to choose for me, then Allah will guide your heart to choose the right. هذا الاستخارة. استخارة. You don't, خلاص. You see a woman and you propose, you get engaged, and next tomorrow is your wedding, and say, let me do istikhara. ايش الهبل؟ Crazy? Istikhara هذا in the beginning, before you even started anything. To trust, to put Allah, to guide you to the right thing. And then 2 years later, 3 years later, or 2 months later, what 3 years? Crying. This is not the right woman. Put your trust in Allah. Let Allah choose for you. How many decisions we make in our lives, we regret. But if you make Allah make it for you, you let Allah, khalas. Then you know it's good for you. It's good for you. So he reaches. Allah comes down the storm and him with his army reach Al-Andalus. And يدخل قرطبة وإشبيلية. And the people received him. People excited and people happy to see him there. Immediately start heading north. Qashtal. Immediately start heading to Qashtal. So people are excited, people start joining him. So once he reached Qashtal, هو جاب 7,000. هو دخل من هنا, entered from here with 7,000. By the time he reached Qashtal, he got 30,000 people. People do not want to live in a humiliation. He got 30,000 معه. He reached وكل هذه البرتغال. Okay? So he chooses this area. He chooses this area for his battle. At that time, he's establishing himself. At that time, the news comes to him from Al-Maghrib that his older son died. His older son died. He did not blink. Okay? He sends someone with him, one of the advisors, send him back to Al-Maghrib to take care of the issue. And he stays there and he stays and he keeps with him the strong people. The Christians meet him with 60,000. 30,000 against 60,000. Alfonso of Qashtala, Castilla, gets help from France, Italy, England, Almania, Germany. He took promise from the Pope. تبلعت في الدين. أخذ وعد من البابا بأن أي مقاتل يشارك في هذه الحرب مغفور. promise from the Pope that anyone participate in this fight or in this battle will be forgiven. Who's gonna forgive him? The Pope? The Pope can't even forgive himself. He had to quit. هذا من Allah. Who forgives and who punishes? Allah Azza wa Jal. People have no power. If Allah allows someone to touch you, Allah. If someone touches you, it's because Allah allowed it. So don't be scared of him, be scared of Allah. So everyone who shared or who joins the army of Alfonso will be forgiven. So they came carrying the crosses and the pictures of the Messiah. Alfonso made a claim. He said, بهذا الجيش أقاتل الجن والإنس وأقاتل ملائكة السماء وأقاتل محمدا وصحبه. He said, with this army, I fight al-ins wal-jinn. I find people and find spirits. Translation in English. Al-jinn, you guys know jinn. And I fight the angels in the heavens. Allah لو جبريل نزل لك لحاله. جبريل with this army I fight al-jinn wal-ins. And I fight the angels in the heavens, and I fight Muhammad and his followers. هذا أصلاً فخر لمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. To know that قوة الملائكة يربطها بقوة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، هذا فخر. والشاهد ما شهدت به الأعداء. هو فكر ملائكة angels are so strong and Muhammad is so strong with his people. So Yusuf bin Tashfin sends him back alone to Alfonso. This is our deen. يرسل له رسالة يقول فيها بلغنا أنك دعوت أن يكون لك سفن تعبر بها إلينا فقد عبرنا إليك وستعلم عاقبة دعائك وما دعاء الكافرين إلا في ضلال. It reached us that you asked God. Yusuf bin Tashfin tell Alfonso, it reached us, we heard that you asked God to give you ships that you can ride to get to Africa, so you can fight us. We came to you. We saved you the trip. We came to you. And very shortly you will see the result of your dua. وإني يا ألفانسو السادس أعرض عليك الإسلام أو الجزية عن يد وأنت صاغر أو الحرب ولا أؤجلك إلا ثلاثا وبعد ذلك سأحارب مباشرة. Alfonso, I give you one of three choices. You become Muslim, or you pay the jizya while you're humiliated, or I fight. You pay the jizya, you pay the tax, and you stay in your home and you're on your own. And you let us invite people to La ilaha illallah. And I give you 3 days. You don't answer me, I'll fight. Alfonso replies, يرد عليه Alfonso, يقول إن اخترت الحرب فما تقول? If I choose to fight, what you would say? He sends to Yusuf bin Tashfin. So Yusuf bin Tashfin flips the letter and he writes back to him, الجواب ما ترى لا ما تسمع والسلام على من اتبع الهدى. The answer is what you will see, not what you hear. And peace be upon the one who follows the truth. And you ask me if you choose to fight, what I gonna do? And I'm not going to tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. قالها هارون بعد. So Alfonso sent him back a letter. He said, غدا الجمعة والجمعة عيد من أعياد المسلمين ونحن لا نقاتل في أعياد المسلمين والسبت عيد اليهود وفي جيشنا كثير منهم والأحد عيدنا فلو أنك تسمح لنا أن نؤجل الحرب 3 أيام إلى يوم الاثنين كان أحسن وأفضل. Alfonso sent back to Yusuf. He tells him tomorrow is Friday, and Friday is a holiday for the Muslims, and we do not fight on holidays. And Saturday, the holiday of the Jews, Sabbath, and a lot of Jews in our army. And Sunday is our holiday, and we do not like to fight. So if you would give us until Monday. But remember in the beginning I said, Malum Ahd? These people don't respect their agreements. Yusuf bin Tashfin didn't tell his people of this letter. He didn't tell them. He prepared them and they're ready. He devised them Thursday night. ليلة الخميس قسم ما أخبر أحد. طبعا هو to Alfonso, okay. Whatever that, if that's make you happy, fine. But Yusuf bin Tashfin didn't tell the people with him. حتى لا يركن. But they don't say, those people will not fight until Monday. Because he knows them and he knows the history. Allah يقول أو كلما عاهدوا عهدا نبذه فريق منهم الأكثرهم لا يؤمنون. لا يؤمنون. He prepares his army on Thursday, so he will be ready for any sudden attack. One of the people in his army, Ibn Rumayla, وهذا من شيوخ المالكية في قرطبة. One of the ulama, Ibn Rumayla. He sees the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a dream. That night, he's with the army. So he sees the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his dream. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells him, Ya ibn Rumayla, innakum mansurun, wa innaka mulaqina. He sees the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in his dream and he tells him, Ya ibn Rumayla, you will be victorious and you will meet us. يعني نباه بالنص ونباه بالشعر. يا ابن رميلة إنكم منصورون إنك ملاقين. رحم الله عثمان. فيستيقظ فرحا مسرورا. He gets excited. He wakes up happy. He runs to Yusuf bin Tashfi and he tells him the news. And the news spread in the Muslim camps and everyone excited and everyone ready. And the energy is at its best and at its max. ابن تاشفين يأمر الجيش بقراءة سورة الأنفال. خوارج. ابن تاشفين orders the army to read سورة الأنفال. وما رميت إذا رميت ولكن الله رمى. يمر على الفصائل يقول طوبى لمن أحرز الشهادة أو من بقي له الأجر والغنيمة. طوبى, good news, tree in paradise for the one who dies tomorrow. So it comes the battle. طبعا that's Thursday. The fight should be Monday. صلى يوسف الفجر. They prayed Fajr with his army. After the Fajr, Alfonso attacked. Jum'ah. يوم الجمعة. Alfonso, Sadis, 6th, with his people, with his sole army, attacked. Friday morning. Friday morning. But he found an army that is ready. He found an army that is ready. Yusuf bin Tashfin divided the army into 2 parts. نصف أمامي, نصف خلفي. Okay? نصف الأمامي, he puts in charge of it المعتمد على الله بن عباد. صاحب إشبيلية هذا. He puts him in charge of the front part of the army. And that army, of course, شوف الحنك. This army of Al-Andalusiyin, of the indigenous people. He puts the leader of them, one of them. So they don't have any hate in their hearts that this guy coming to take over. ماشي? So he put Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad to lead the army of Al-Andalusiyin. Behind him, Dawood ibn Aisha, he was the general of the biggest general in the Murabitin army. He puts him in the army behind, from the back, 15,000. That is the first part. The second part is the back part, and that is 15,000. And the one in charge of them, Yusuf bin Tashfin. And those hide behind the the mountains and tilal and the hills, behind the hills and hidden area. 15,000, 11,000 with him, و4,000 مقاتل سوداني. Those were specialized fighters. Those just for fighting, with swords, Indian swords, and spears, long spears. They're specialized just to fight. 4,000 hidden and 11,000 with Yusuf bin Tashfin. هذه الخطة, this plan for the battle, happened before. Again, those who tell us why history. Yusuf bin Tashfin used to read the history. Khalid bin Walid, موقعة الولجة. النعمان بن مقرن في موقعة نهاوند. They were fighting the Persians. They followed the same plan. They divided the army. They were hiding. And you will see, we get a chance to talk about the top. Same thing. Na'in Jalut. Okay? The battle starts, 60,000 Christians with 30,000 Muslims. But now they're 15, because 15 are still hiding. Yusuf bin Tashfin, this is 479 Hijr. Yusuf bin Tashfin wants to exhaust the Christian army. So he has his 15,000, well prepared, very professional, fighting those 60,000. They continue to fight from Fajr after Fajr until Asr. Until Asr. So imagine how many people are getting killed. Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad, 3 horses died. 3 horses he rides and they died while he's fighting. Until he was covered with blood. Asr comes, Yusuf bin Tashfin orders his army to attack. So now the 15,000 get, or whatever left of the 15,000, get the 11,000 support. Now a new army. تبديل يعني. مباراة. ماشي? Now you got 11,000 joining the Muslim armies with the leader of Yusuf bin Tashfin. Part of this army attacks immediate or direct, and he tells another part of the army to go behind the Christian armies. And the very first they do is they burn the empty tents. So of course that's mental war. When the Christian army sees that, khalas, in their hearts they're surrounded. Okay? Christians surrounded Alfonso, the king, so they can protect him. Until this point, 10,000 Christians were killed out of the 60,000. The historians say that Yusuf bin Tashfin كان يلقي نفسه في التهم. He's looking for الشهادة. He was throwing himself just to receive that martyrdom. Around Al-Maghrib, just before Al-Maghrib, he orders the Sudanese. He orders the 4,000 Sudani fighters, and they come in and they finish the battle. يأتون يستأصلون شافة النصارى. At that moment, it's all gone, and Alfonso loses his leg, one of his legs, and he runs away with what's left of the army to Toledo. Remember we said Toledo here was taken last time? Doesn't never come back to the Muslims until today. So he runs there. How many with him? 450. By the time they reach Toledo, he only left with 100 people. 350 died from injury. So an army of 60,000 people, they all die, get killed except 100. 60,000. 59,900. معركة الزلزاقة. يوم من أيام الله. يوم من أيام الإسلام. Similar to اليرموك والقادسية. اليرموك that put down the Romans, and القادسية put down the Persians. And in English they call it the Battle of Sagrahas. شو سقراها؟ هي الزلاقة هنا. Took place. It's called the Zallaqa, that's the slippery way. The meaning, Zallaqa, the slippery way. Because the blood was so much, the horses and the soldiers were sliding. So called the Zallaqa, the slippery way. Okay? Sarga. After all this, all the booties of war, all whatever they get from the Christians, he leaves it to the people of Al-Andalus. He doesn't take anything. Rahimahullah ta'ala. And he meet with the Umara and the kings, and he encouraged them for unity. He tells them that your only way is unity. But they don't listen. He goes back to Al-Maghrib. Rahimahullah ta'ala. He comes back to Al-Maghrib. They start fighting each other in Al-Andalus. Those kings, leaders, they start fighting each other. After he did that to them, they start fighting each other. Of course, Alfonso, a couple of months after that, he died. Out of stress, depression. He died. Okay? And that battle put down the Christians for 20 years. Could not come back to the Muslims. Could not fight. 20 years. Zallaq. So he comes back to Maghrib, to Africa. The kings in Andalus start fighting. The scholars come from Al-Andalus. Now they come to Yusuf bin Tashfin, and they beg him to go and take over Al-Andalus. They ask him to go and unite the Muslims and take over Al-Andalus. He refuses. Tawarra. How are you going to go and fight Muslims here? Sometimes it's necessary. When they keep fighting, they're going to be easy target, they easily can be attacked. So he receives fatwa from the ulama. He receives fatwa from Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, rahimahullah. And he receives fatwa from Abu Bakr al-Tartushi in Egypt. And he receives fatwa from the ulama of Shafi'i in Africa. Fatwa sending him that it's an obligation for you to go. He, Yusuf bin Tashfin, enters Al-Andalus again in 483, 4 years later, from Zallaqa. Who fights him? Al-Mu'tamid ala Allah bin Abbas. One of the people who fought him is the guy he put in charge of the army when they fought the Christians. That's the love of the dunya. When you love the dunya, you don't see your brother. We pass by people who kill their own brothers for the authority and power. So he joined, or he add Al-Andalus to Al-Murabitin. So now you got part of Europe as part of Dawlat Al-Murabitin. So الآن Al-Murabitin من شمال Al-Andalus next to France, all the way to Gabon. Okay? Dawlat Al-Murabitin. 1/3 of Africa in addition to Al-Andalus or Europe to France. He continued to rule, rahimahullah, until 500 Hijri. 500 Hijri. He continued to be the leader of Al-Murabitin. ما فتن بالدنيا قط. Look how big his kingdom. He never was deceived by the dunya. He used to wear the wool and eat الشعير, خبز الشعير, like his messenger sallallahu Prophet ﷺ did not see wheat, bread, his whole life, from barley. Yusuf bin Tashfin was this, he rules this land, and he used to eat that. لا يشرب إلا لبن الإبل. He used to drink only the milk from camels. He died in year 500 Hijri. He died in year 500 Hijri. in Zallaqa. When he fought in Zallaqa, he was 79 years old. كان عمره 79 سنة في الزلاقة. يوسف بن تاشفين. 79 years old. وين الشباب؟ 79 years old. When he died, he almost reached 100. 79 years old, fighting all that, fi sabilillah. So here you have people, Yusuf bin Tashfin, Abu Bakr bin Umar al-Lamtuni, Yahya bin Ibrahim, Abdullah bin Yasin al-Sheikh, rahimahullah, ajma'in. So in 60 years, Dawlat al-Murabitin is one of the strongest civilization on earth, if not the strongest. In 60 years. 60 years. After he died in 500, his son takes over, Ali bin Yusuf bin Tashfin. His son takes over the Dawlat al-Murabitin. Harab, Ali bin Yusuf, he fought Nasara in Al-Andalus, and he brought back some of the cities that they had taken away. He got back Zaragoza, the Shamal al-Sharqi there. He got back Zaragoza. He failed to bring back Toledo. And I told you, Toledo will never come back to the Muslims. In 501, a big battle between Ali bin Yusuf and Alfonso Sadis. And I said he died, but actually he died after this battle, not Zallaqa. Muslimun get victory, and the casualties were 23,000 Christians. هذه موقع تقليش or a place. In 509, the Muslims get back the Balearic Islands. Okay? They get back the Balearic Islands. In 512, a revolution happens inside Dawlat al-Murabitin. Okay? That will reflect negatively on Murabitin. يعني now start going downhill. Revolution start, the fitna start inside. So that led, because they got busy with those fitna, led to 2 defeats by the Christians. The Muslims in Al-Andalus got 2 defeats, Qatanda and Al-Khulayya. And that is how it started going down. The main reason is power. The fitna of the man, the fitna of the dunya. The fitna of the dunya started taking this Dawlat al-Murabitin downhill. And inshallah, next time we continue. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم.